hold it for you either way. Okay, welcome back. This is probably going to be our last interview before we switch over to the Internal Lecture Theatre's live stream for our special guest speaker. And I am with Graham Ensor. And can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what we've got down here? This looks really interesting.
Well, what we got here is my collection of lunar meteorites, pretty much all from the moon here, with a few examples of other types when people ask.
And these are yours, is that right?
Yeah, they're all mine, from my collection, yeah.
That must be quite pricey, or do you go out and find them yourself?
I have been out finding them and hunting them myself. What I tend to do is try and trade pieces and so on. It's a bit like any other hobby, really, is that you buy in extra pieces and trade them on for other pieces, and so you can build up your collection like that. Okay,
so can you tell me a little bit about, you said you've been out to find them yourself. Can you tell me a little bit about how you go about doing that?
Well, usually meteorites are found much more easily in the desert regions and in Antarctica, which is a cold desert anyway. So they're preserved out in the desert. They're also usually different to the local geology. So there's a big trade out in northwest Africa, particularly in meteorites. They're much more easily seen there because it's usually a white desert, so you drive around the desert looking for a black rock, basically.
And why are these rocks black then?
Well, they're usually black either because of how they've weathered or because they've got a fusion crust on and have been darkened from their fiery flight as they came in. So the outside has melted and formed a black fusion crust.
So you've been out in the desert, the Sahara or whatnot, actually looking, and that's fascinating.
Yes, so I've been out with various expeditions and so on. So on one of the last, we were out there for 3 weeks and found 60 meteorites altogether.
60?
Yes, so the reason that I'm here actually is because I'm actually an artist, I'm not a scientist. But I was inspired by the Barwell fall. The Barwell came down on the day after my 9th birthday in 1965, on Christmas Eve.
Oh, okay.
Near Leicester. It exploded over the little village of Barwell, and some bits went through roofs, hit cars and so on. So that kind of first made me aware, when I was that age, of meteorites. And then more recently I've been studying them more and looking at them more. In the past 20 years I started to collect them, realised you could actually own them. Now if I find a meteorite as an amateur, I can't just say it's a meteorite, it needs to go to science and be studied. And so whenever I get anything, even if I buy it or I find it or on an expedition, I always take it to a university to be worked on so that we know what it is, and it's been classified as an actual meteorite.
And that's done, as you said, at universities such as the Open University with Richard Greenwood, is that correct?
That's correct, with Richard Greenwood. So we have quite a good relationship. At the moment we have about 40 or 50 different meteorites which I've collected in my collection, or I've been and found out in the desert myself, and they're all being classified at this very moment. We're working our way.
And how do you classify meteorite then? Like, surely you just pick it up and you go, oh, that's a space rock. How does this work then?
Well, it depends on what type it is. Most meteorites are ordinary chondrites, but then you've got various special ones. So what you need to do is look at the chemistry and the different isotopes within them, and they all have a kind of signature, really, that tells you, particularly looking at oxygen isotopes, whether they're extraterrestrial or terrestrial. So everything from Earth will have a similar signature of oxygen isotopes. If it's not that, then it's come from outer space in some way. And then you do other tests to work out actually what type of meteorite it is.
Okay, fantastic. So a couple of quick questions at the end. What is your favourite one in your collection? What is your most expensive? And then would you live on the moon?
Right. Well, my most favourite is this particular one out of the lunars. Not particularly because of the science behind it, but if you look carefully at it, it actually is just a coincidental cut through northwest Africa 5000, and the little vug on the outside, which is natural, actually looks like somebody on the surface of the moon studying a rock with little bits of things flying past in this behind.
Oh yeah, it really does. just here.
So it looks like a picture of somebody on the moon, and it's made out of the moon.
That's amazing. And so what's the most expensive bit of your collection, if I may ask?
Probably the Martian one.
You're just holding a piece of Mars there like it's nothing, may I? Oh wow, this is fantastic. So what part of Mars is this then?
What part of Mars? It will be from one of the lava flows on Mars. Most of them are basaltic and so on. But I mean, tonight we're here mainly because of the moon. In the past, lunar ones would have been the most expensive. But back in 2017, there was a huge find on the edge of Mauritania-Algerian border. Because of my build-up of contacts out in the desert regions and so on, I was told about this and shown photographs. So I obtained about over a kilogram of lunar material because they found over 200 kilograms.
Wow.
Of lunar material out in the desert.
Okay.
Immediately, because there's a quantity found, the price drops, which is why I was able to actually obtain that amount. Lots of other dealers around the world as well. But my objective was to get material to science, to museums and so on in the UK. So I obtained it out. I mean, the Moroccans, the trusted Moroccans and myself worked together, and they will often send material without any payment for it to be tested. So it all came to the Open University. They tested the anorthite within the material. So you see the white area in here is anorthite. That then matches the Apollo samples, which is different from the anorthite on Earth. So they immediately know that is from the moon.
Okay, thank you. That's amazing. And so would you live on the moon then, and do you think that we will be living on the moon soon? Can you give an estimate?
Oh, no idea. I mean, we might do one day, but I think we'd be better off trying to make it better so we could live on Earth and stay here.
I think that's pretty reasonable. So again, thank you everybody who's been watching on Facebook Live and Stadium. I've been Thomas Barrett, and we're going to be sending you over to our live cast over in the Beryl Lecture Theatre very shortly. Remember to use the hashtag Moon Matters, hashtag Open OU Moon Night, and hashtag Living on the Moon. Thank you very much.